So if you've got the printout, fab. If you haven't, whatever paper you like to paint on, cut to an 8-inch square. You can cut it to any square. So if you can't do inches, then 20 centimetres would work as well. I went for 8 inches because it will split into it splits into 4-inch chunks, the same sort of size as these. When I'm putting it together in Photoshop, the actual size doesn't matter, except for, you know, when you're stretching it and you lose resolution. So if you have got a drink and some paper, we shall begin. Yeah, you could absolutely do 4x4 if you wanted to. I'll talk about this. I'll talk about transferring first, and then I'll talk about how to do it on a square, if that makes sense. So I've popped a picture up on the Create Along thread, and I've shown you how I use my window as a light box. Now, I do have a light box that plugs into my computer via USB that I could use, but I wanted to show you a totally no-tech version. And with the sun today, it's pretty overcast, so it was really easy to do. And essentially what you do is you tape the template, I use some washi, to your window, and then you tape your piece of paper over the top of that so that you can hold it still, and then you draw around it. What I did afterwards was I just straightened up some of the edges with my ruler just a little bit. This is the second way that you can transfer. So made myself a little bit of a sandwich here. I've got my sheet of watercolour paper. I've got some graphite transfer paper, which is a bit like carbon paper, I think, but it's got graphite on. And shiny side down, and then I've got the template on the top. Now, if you don't have graphite transfer paper, you can make it. I remember doing this in school and loving doing it. You get a sheet of paper and you basically just shade all over the back of it. Now, somewhere lurking around, I have got these awesome crayons. Is that them? No, I don't know where I put them. They're called Lyra or Lyra, L-Y-R-A. And they're just a big chunk of graphite. Essentially, if I do this like that, and if I did it all over, and then I take my piece of paper that I want to transfer to, there's my little bit of my graphite. So I can probably do a little bit of this circle here. I would draw over it and pencil line transfers. Okay, and that's just a HB school kind of pencil that is lurking around. So if you don't have your own graphite paper, you can make yourself a sheet by going all over the back. And I would probably cut these extra bits off so that I didn't put pencil where I didn't really need to. Hi Jez. Now I've got snazzy graphite paper that has come all the way from Amazon, and a little bit lasts a long time. And like I said, I've made my little sandwich of graphite paper with the shiny side down to the my paper that I want it on. I've put my template here. With my graphite paper, I've actually taped it top and bottom so it doesn't move. And I'm actually going to pop a little bit of washi tape on to the bottom of here, if I can remember where I put the washi tape when I tidied my desk up. There it is. And that's to hold it still, because I don't want it to move while I'm doing this. And as long as I've got it taped top and bottom, that's fairly good. So all I now do is basically draw over the lines. I don't like to go too hard, because if you go really hard you get a really dark line. But I'm going to go a bit harder than usual so that I try and make sure I've got a nice transfer that you guys can see. Now you can see that I'm using my ruler for the straight lines, and I've just managed to poke my pencil through there. It's very sharp. And I'm doing that just so I get nice straight edges, because obviously it's easier. Now, part of the reason I split this into 4 pieces was initially I was thinking, oh, we can just make one little square, but that actually became quite complicated in matching them up and having the right number. So now I'm tracing over each of these circles, and I'm trying to get them pretty exactly. These ones that are in the middle, if they're slightly off, it doesn't really make any difference at all. The most important ones to kind of get nice and in the right place are these ones at the edge, because that's where hopefully our designs will kind of link up. So I know I didn't do this circle in here, and then I can come down to this one. So this is basically this process. So if you've got the template, you want to transfer it, I would say get on with doing that along with me now. If you don't have the template and you want to join in going along with us tonight, then I would say to you, go and get your paper and something that you can either cut or draw, and draw or cut yourself an 8-inch square. If you can't do inches and you need me to do centimetres, tell me and I will do centimetres as well. If you don't want to work as big as 8 inches, then you could do a 4-inch square. But it needs to be a number that is a multiple of 4. So a 4-inch square or an 8-inch square. And just give me 1 second because my emails have popped up and made you all disappear. There we go. So I am going to pop my head up in just a second once I've got through all these shapes, say hello to people and answer any questions that anybody's popped up. But at the moment I'm really concentrating on tracing my lines. If you normally transfer using tracing paper, the reason I've not chosen to use tracing paper with these is because it's important that the design stays this way round. If I were to trace it and then flip it over, it would reverse. So I'd have to trace it, trace over the back and then do it, and that seemed to be a recipe for complications in my head. Now I'm going to have a little peek under and see if I've got everything. I think that's what I have. So yeah, I think that is pretty much what I did. What I can do for you, Tina, is I can have a very quick measure and I can tell you what size it printed out at, but it's not like an exact number of inches. It's it's 7 and 1 mark past half. I don't know what that is because I don't normally use inches. I could probably work it out. What are they, 16ths? So it'd be 7 and 9/16 of an inch. Some of mine haven't quite touched the lines and I've managed to go quite squiffy on this one. I don't know how, when I taped it all in place and everything. I think I must have, I don't know what I did there. So I'm just going to try and correct this a little bit here. But to be honest, it is going to work in Photoshop because I'm going to tell it to. So if I have to fiddle a little bit, then that's not a problem. So if you're transferring, you should be kind of at this kind of stage, how I am, or where I am. I am probably going to just cut this out so I've got a square in a second, and I'm going to just rub out. The only thing with graphite transfer paper is I get marks when I press. So I'm going to try and see if I can lift some of those off, which may mean I take off some of the pencils, but that's okay. Sometimes they won't come off. Which is why I often end up using a light box. So I shall pop some of these in. Back. So if you don't have the template, these ones in the middle, they don't matter. It doesn't matter if they don't look exactly right. It's fine. The only ones that really need to match up is, see these ones on the side that are part ones, because the next one will match up to it, but even if they're a bit off, it won't make any difference. If you don't have the template, you should have your 8 by 8 inch square, and what we're going to do is split that into the 4 parts. So we need to pop a mark. Typically mine's not quite 8 inches, but we'll just go with it. Pop a mark that's half the distance of yours. So if you're doing a 4-inch square, you would do 2 inches. You put your mark. I'm putting 2 going this way so that I can split it in half here. So I'll put a line halfway along, and then I'm going to do that down the other side. And I'll put 2 marks because then I know that it will be level, or it should be level, we hope. And with these, you can put circular designs on here, but all I'm going to ask is don't put them so they go off the very edges, because then I won't think I need to try and figure out how to match them up. So I'll know you've done one that hasn't used the printed out template, and so I can just position it with any other square, because this one will just go next to that one and that's fine, and I can use them all throughout the design. And we'll just put circles on here, so I might draw myself some circles on if I wanted to now, or I could just paint them on. So those are your 2 options: transfer it using the template, or use a square that you can split evenly into quarters, so an 8 by 8 inch or a 4 by 4 inch. You could do a 20 centimetre by 20 centimetre, and you'd have your halfway at 10 centimetres. Does that make sense? I know I did that really fast, so I'm going to pause for a second, see who I've missed coming in by having a quick... I think when it scales, because it prints as a square, it should still work, because when I scale it in Photoshop... Oh, that's really clever, Natalie, I love that plan. When I scale it in Photoshop, as long as I hold shift down, it retains the proportions. So theoretically, however it prints out should work. And if it doesn't, just don't worry, it will fit together and it will look beautiful. Our triangles, I'd got this idea that they would all fit beautifully, and they didn't, but it still looked amazing. So I think a little bit of wonk is perfectly perfect. Okay, so a couple of options, and you might want to go for this so you can do something that's really free and, you know, and go wild in there. So I'll just pop back up. Hi Kathy. Hi Tina. I think I answered your question, didn't I, about the paper. I'm printing on A4 because I'm in the UK, which is I think a little bit smaller than 8.5 by 11, but I'm not sure. Heather, I think I answered that about the circles, don't worry. Hi Nancy. Bernie, you could just do it like this square is, and just make sure there's no circles that go off the edges, because that will make me think I've got to match them up, and that could have me there for like a long time going, well, they're matching. Hi Erica. Hi Sandra. Oh, Sandra, is it so it's printed out bigger than A4? Are you doing that in Adobe? Because if you are, there's a couple of ways of tackling that I can't remember off the top of my head. If you're happy to just do it with this one to join in with now, maybe draw this one, and then afterwards I can try and help you get it to print out the right size, or someone else might be able to. There's a setting where I think you can click on either layout or something like that, where you can either alter the percentage size and just bring that down until you can see it on the A4 piece of paper on the preview. I don't have an Adobe document up. I do have a file somewhere on my desktop, so I can have a little bit of a look and see. Let me have a look. Have you got it to print off now, Sandra, so it's all within the page? Or are you still stuck that it won't print off? Okay, so when I go on to mine, I've got it so it's on fit. So on the paper size and handling on size, I've got fit, and so it fits it to the page. And I've got it on portrait. I don't know if those two make any difference. If that doesn't help, give me a shout and I will do my best. Erica, if you have the template, we've transferred it using graphite paper, but if you just want to join in, if you've got an 8-inch square piece of paper or a 4-inch square piece of paper, you could start with that. Brilliant, Sandra, that's fab. You could start with that size paper, and then we've just split it in half, horizontally and vertically, so we've got 4 boxes as the 2 different ways. Right, did I get, I think I haven't missed any questions. Let's see. I was thinking maybe do the same as we did this month, Tina, so go for kind of the end of June. So you can send it to me when you're done. You can do one, you can do more than one, whatever suits you, and then as long as I get them by the end of June, we're good to go. Hello, Law, and I saw someone else pop up. Hello, Jane, it is lovely to see you. So, we should all be at the point now where we've either transferred the template. Now, the template's in the file section of the group, and you can print it out. And if you missed the beginning, I showed you how to make your own graphite transfer paper and to transfer it. And I've also popped a picture of how to use your window has a light box so that you could transfer that way. And then if you can't print it, or for whatever reason it's not working for you, or you haven't got graphite transfer paper and you don't want a faff, whatever, the other way to do it is to make yourself a square that you can split into 4 equal boxes, so into quarters. So I went with an 8-inch square and then measured 4 inches across, drew a line down, 4 inches down this side and drew a line across. Hi, Law. I love that you watch from work, it's awesome. You could do a 4-inch square and then split it with, so you get 2-inch squares in there. You could do a 20 centimetre square. When you go smaller than this, it means that when you take the photo and I pull it, if I stretch it big, then it might alter the resolution. But because we had so many people send them in, it didn't make any difference last month. So fingers crossed we'll get as many pictures this month, and so it won't make any difference at all to that. And as Tina rightly reminded me, it's good to have a date when you've got to get them to me by, so I'm saying the last day in June, which is the 30th. So I started having a little bit of play this afternoon with the template that I transferred from the window, and this is kind of where I got to. So this has just got one layer of paint on, and then I've started putting essentially little mini mandalas in the circles. This one and this one had the light blue paint on first, and then I've gone in the circles in the dark blue and gone round everything in the dark blue. And this one looked a lot like this, but I've gone in and added some marks. So I'm going to lift it up a little bit so you can kind of see. This isn't finished, but this is something you could do. So I've just used green and blue, and then just kind of swapped and done the opposite. So I'm probably going to do something similar, or maybe a little bit different, I don't know. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to start working on my template. I do want to just see if I can cut it out a little bit, because the fact that it's squiffy is annoying. I'm going to be very honest. So because when I transferred it, I got something a bit squaffly. So I'm just going to cut that out. So while I'm cutting out, you might want to think about what kind of colours you are being drawn to in your palette tonight. And you might want to mix up maybe some watery mixes of those for yourself in your mixing palette. While I'm doing this, and I've just thought of it, I'm probably going to do the replay a little bit differently, because I actually got a chance to listen over the weekend, I think it was, and I realised just how quiet the sound was. And what I decided was that I should definitely do some editing of that, because whilst I can't do anything about the sound now while we're doing it together, I can, if I take it out and edit it, I can do some things to make it louder and better to read, better to hear. Hi Marianne, hi Kerry. It's good, don't worry. I'll give you a quick recap if you need it. So I am going to try and get this one edited and up, and then I'll do the other ones as I get time to do them. But at least then, if you are listening to a replay or part of a replay, you'll be able to hear it properly. So, has everybody got their squares ready? Does anybody need any help with that? And if you've got your square ready and you want to tell me what kind of paint colours you're going for, I would love to know. So you can pop me up a little comment that says I'm using, Nancy just did, I'm using greens, pink, purple and oh, I like that. I never know how to say it. Piedmontite? Piedmontite? Something like that. So I'm going to grab some brushes. I have clean water, have a painting palette, have a rubber, an ear, and my ruler. Kerry, if you want to join in with us, which would be awesome, and you don't have the PDF template printed out, which is in the files, then if you cut an 8" by 8" square and then split it in half horizontally and vertically by measuring 4 inches across and drawing a line, you can do it and it will look like this one. Oh, stormy greys and greens sound awesome, Bernie. Bernie has some of the most fantastic colour combos sometimes. They're really inspiring. K, earphones is a really good idea. I did think that it would probably be okay if I wore earphones, but I'd got my volume up to max and it was really hard for me to hear. So I just figured, you know, if I'm going to leave them up there and out there, I'll make the sound a bit better. Pink, purple, yellow and green, beautiful. Pinks, purples, maybe some greens. Oh, I love it, Eve. Eve's going to use all of the colours. That's what I like. So I better grab some colours of my own, haven't I? Now then, I'm going to turn on my little lampy lights because I haven't before and see if we can get some better light. And I'm going to draw the curtains behind me. I think my neighbours must think I'm really weird because every time I'm doing a video or a live, I draw my curtains so that I don't get the light from behind me, and I've forgotten today. Right, I think I am going to go for... I quite fancy kind of... I definitely want Payne's Grey. I'm really in the mood for Payne's Grey today. So that's going to find its way into here. So I'm not sure how I'll be using it. I might just use it as a shadowy colour. I think I'm definitely going to want some of that. It's a rose of ultramarine and it's a purple that I'm really loving at the moment. It's a warm kind of purple, but because it's got ultramarine blue in it, it granulates and you get these lovely kind of bits of splitting. Yeah, Eve, that's generally what I do. I make it up as I go along. You're fitting in beautifully with my ethos of just pick what you like. I might have a little bit of that. Yes, that I love that colour. It's phthalo turquoise. That's definitely going to happen. I'm feeling I might end up with a bit of opera rose pink because, you know. And I've remembered to use my old brush to pick my paints up with as well, which is a bit of a miracle. I'm going to leave that there. I think I'm going to go for a round. That's a 6, that's a 4. I'm finding today that I'm struggling to go within line, so I might start with a 4. So, hi Mum. Thanks, Kerry. Oh, pure. Oh, okay. That's a genius idea. I might just grab that palette and pop. Oh yes, that would be. Oh yes. That one. I'm stealing Kay's colour idea because it was so good. No, it doesn't really matter. If you're drawing them yourself, then all I ask is don't do any that are on these 4 very outside edges that go off the edge. So you can do however you want to do the circles. You can even not draw them and just glaze them in. My paint wheel is all homemade, Kerry, and I'm very proud of it. It's a wooden spinning jenny, and then there's a steel disc, and I've forgotten the name of the steel. It's special steel that has got more iron in it, so it looks rusty, but magnets stick to it. And then all of my little pans have got, where's one that's done properly? Yeah, they've got a little bit of sealant and a neodymium, I never say that right, one of those strong magnet things. Right, so I'm just going to go in with this rose of ultramarine and see what happens. And I think I'm going to go, Sherlock, stop licking your paw, sweetheart. You're going to make it sore. Yeah. I'm just going to stroke the dog while I'm doing this because, you know, why have a simple life? Good boy. Oh, this one's got a little pet. There you go. So I'm actually going to go round these circles, I think, and see. Oh, he's really going to keep licking that ball, which means I have to either get something to distract you or keep going, So if I keep going, I'm sorry. It's because Sherlock keeps licking his paw and he's making it sore. And there's nothing in it, and there's nothing that's irritating it. And the vet looked at it when he first started doing it and said, no, there isn't anything. So it appears to be just a habit of some sort. Natalie, I'm so glad it's not just me. I love him to bits, but honestly, the noise he makes and making his paw sore, the combination, it's, you know. There we go. So I'm just going to go in and see what happens. Can you see where you're getting a little bit of it splitting? I don't know if the camera's picking it up. This is where I really wish that I could film with my proper camcorder so I could zoom in and stuff. When I looked into it, aside from the fact that it did get a little bit technical, it was seeming to say I needed essentially a little box that translated so that my computer could see it as a web camera or as a camera that it can access. And the little boxes cost anywhere from £120 upwards. But I couldn't justify spending that as the first thing. And the second thing was that I couldn't find anywhere that said, yes, it will definitely work with your camcorder. It also meant I had to then go and learn to use some different kind of software to actually broadcast the live, and it just felt like it was getting more and more complicated. So I'm sticking with the phone for now. Maybe when I'm feeling, you know, super techie, I might go and investigate. I've nearly got the colour on the back. I'm just looking at where I've got kind of little water lines. Okay. And just intensifying some of the colours in some of the places by popping on a little bit more colour. My kids have a board game meet-up. I'm sure it starts at about 4 or 5, and they tend to go from that to them playing Smash Brothers or some other online games. They've been going at it for ages, giggling and laughing with their friends. They paused for 2 and that was about it. There we go. So I am fairly happy with that starting layer, I think. And then over here, it could be a boredom thing, but he does it even if he's got lots of toys and things out. I wondered if it was a stressy thing, but like he stops now when I've told him to. So I don't know. I wonder if it just feels nice. I think over here I'm going to do the circles in that purple. But I'm going to grab some of that purpurite. Might need a bit of a more intense bit, and I'll just drip it in the middle and see if I can get some fun little patterns happening to start with. Oh, that sounds a lovely combination. It's a really fun colour, that is. In fact, it's 2 fun colours. And really, this is actually quite good for kind of mindfulness and ease, because you don't have to make it any more complicated than putting the the paint on and having a play with a bit of wetty mat if you want to. You could obviously, if you really love things like botanicals and glazing, you could actually put whole leaves and things behind here and then bring out the circles afterwards. There's lots of potential for it. I'm actually kind of in the mood for things that are full of lots and lots of lovely ease for me at the moment. So I am just going to go with that. So I'm going to, yeah, a bit more. Put some of that in the middle and here. Like that, so I get some centres. If you did, you remember way back when we did the October class and we did circles and we're using all those autumnal colours. If you think back to some of the things we did then, that would fit really well here. And this month's class that's kind of got, if you look at the dandelions and the suns, they're really based around circles, so there's lots of ideas there that you could bring to this that I think would be lots and lots of fun. And again, for me, I didn't do a breathing warm up today, partly because of time and partly because actually I was quite settled and ready to be at my arty desk. So I didn't, but you could do a breathing with your brush exercise behind this and then bring out the circles on the top afterwards. So you've got, you know, lots of things you could play around with. The 10-minute Tuesday video that I popped up today with the glazed botanicals, you could absolutely just glaze botanicals all over this, and then where the circles are, put a different colour on to bring it out. Rose of Ultramarine's a mix, so it's ultramarine. I'm trying to remember the purple. I don't know it, but I can Google it and find out for you, because you may find that you've got the colours to mix it, Nancy. I just use it such a lot that I remember that was why I bought the colour. So I'm going to grab some of this rather luscious blue now, and I think I'm going to go for, oops, I scorched, never mind. I'm going to go for popping some blue into here, and I'm going to put it in the middle and then just using a damp brush I'm going to try and bring water out to the edge that's just got a little bit of colour maybe. See how that works. Just as a different way of doing wetting wet. Because, you know, playing is important and having fun and kind of just approaching it with a sense of, I wonder what happens if. Now this one I'm going to actually paint the same colour. No, I'm going to have to work ever so fast, aren't I, to do all of those. But I think I can do it. If I can just remember the order that I painted each of these in. And this one. Oh my goodness me, my youngest has discovered whistling in a big way, and he just is going round whistling, but like not anything, just whistling. I even asked him the other day, are you whistling a song, you know? No. Oh, that's a top tip, Nancy. I tend to spray mine if the sparkle looks like it wants to move. I don't approve of sparkle moving off unless, you know, I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm going to drip some more paint into the middle just to see how it's going to spread and what's going to happen in these. Oh, that one's gone. quite dry and has lost its middle. So I'll just kind of do it again a little bit. Oops. There we go. And then just drip some more in there. Wow, look at the crystals from that purpurite. Just they look like they're bumps on the page. So much fun. So I'm going to need another colour here, and I actually know what it's going to be. It's going to be Serpentine, which is this colour here. It's one of my absolute favourite greens, and also I just love it at the moment. It's kind of somewhere between May green, sap green and green gold. So I'm going to use that, and I've realised I need to have made that all purple, so I'm going to go in and just fix that now, if I can, because it stretches across there, so I need it to be all purple. So I'm actually going to deliberately do what we say we don't want to do when we glaze. I'm going to disturb this paint to mix it up so I'm not getting a kind of a really hard line in the middle, and then I'll grab a bit of the purpurite and just pop it on in the middle there. I love the way it pushes out. Hi Deb, really good to see you. Judith, hi, I'm confused by that message. Mainly because I'm Rachel and not Jeff. I'm guessing that's gone to the wrong place. I do that all the time, so it's good to know I am not alone. So, the background is going to be green here. So I'm just going to go in with my green. I don't have a plan, so I might end up with 2 green backgrounds, and that's kind of okay with me. Serpentine's just beautiful. It's a gorgeous colour. How are we doing for time? I haven't got my watch on. So, oh, would you believe we've been at it for nearly 40 minutes? Doesn't feel like 40 minutes. That's probably a good thing, isn't it? I don't think I've popped another live down to do any more of these, because this one was bigger than the triangle, so I thought it would take longer. My plan is that we will all post up what we're doing and when we're doing it, to keep each other inspired and to share ideas. And that way, I was thinking if we all do one, just imagine if everybody in the group did one, how awesome would that be? There's over like 400 of us, isn't there? But that, I love the way it kind of granulates and you get these little brown bits. So I'm thinking that this bit is going to have the background that's blue. Oh, there's another one of those purple ones that I needed to have done going over. Oops. It's fine, I can go back and fix it. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do the blue. Taking a little bit of care because that green is still quite wet. I actually don't mind if it kind of bleeds a little bit. I think it's quite fun when that happens. wondering who's painting along and who's watching along and keeping us company. And is there anybody that's creating along but they're not painting the same thing as us, they're doing something different? Like, is there anybody doing any knitting? Anybody doing any crochet? Sewing? Baking? What else could we be doing? Jelly printing. I keep wanting to do jelly printing. That was one of the things with these. You obviously, it doesn't have to be watercolour. So if you've got some jelly prints that are lurking around, you could very easily cut to the right size or transfer onto it, and then you could kind of collage on circles, you could add words, you could really go to town and have lots of fun, I think, with doing really exciting stuff. Because you've got the two options, either with the pre-drawn circles or without, and then just using circles as a pattern in there and just making sure that none go off the very outside edges, then I think it would be really quite a fun way to use up kind of jelly prints or watercolour paper or collage papers. Yay! I'm glad it's helping you feel relaxed, Kerry. Oh, that's the wrong colour. Oops. Just blend it in, it'll be fine. It's like slightly greener tone there, perhaps, than I intended. So, oh, wrong one again. There we go. Pull this gap in here. I'm just going to drip in some bits of water just the places where it's still wet. Some places it's not wet, so you can see the bubble of water sits on the top. But some places it's wet enough that the water kind of spreads out, which is quite fun. Then this one, well, it's going to have to be green, isn't it? It's going to have to be the Serpentine or another colour. So I think a jelly collage would be really awesome with it. I'd probably go for starting with the 8-inch square and splitting it into the 4 areas, probably after I'd done some jelly printing on top of it. I might make a few of those 8-inch squares and then cut out circles and just kind of collage them on, and maybe I like tearing paper as well, so there'd probably be some paper tearing from me, if I'm honest. But you know, you kind of think about the idea, I'm just going to work on this size square and I'm going to incorporate circles somehow, and if I'm not using that pre-printed template, then I just make sure my circles don't go off the outside edge, but they can go off the inside edge, and I could split it into 4 areas if I wanted to. I'm quite inspired by the idea of doing something that plays around with the idea of, you know, the old alchemical 4 elements and the 5th element. I'm thinking if I can actually do something that relates to that and incorporate circles into it, whether it's just colours or symbols or I don't know, because that, I don't know, I quite find that quite interesting. So that's definitely something I'm going to think about doing. And I think I've got a chunk of jelly printing papers lurking around and collagey bits. It might be fun to use. Collage is one of those things, it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I really love some of the stuff that I see other people do that looks absolutely fantastic. But sometimes for me, I find I have to, there's an element of, I don't know, thinking or concentration there for me that I don't find relaxing. It's a different kind of concentrating. I don't know. I think if it's torn and it's quite loose, then I do. And if I'm going to paint over the top of it, you'd have lots of fun then with the jelly printing and the collage and then stenciling, and really go like mixed media to town. Yeah, absolutely, Eve. That would be awesome. Sorry, I missed that question. Abstract sewn stuff would be fabulous. If you just work into like a square, any square, as long as you make sure the kind of the pattern doesn't go off the edge, that's the only kind of rule. So other than that, go wild. It would be awesome to see some sewing. I think this one, actually, you could do things like, I mean, crochet, knitting, all kinds of different textile arts, weaving. I mean, you might want to work on a smaller square deliberately, but they could all work. And you've got like the rest of the month, so you could try out a few things. You also don't have to make these connect and relate. You can do a different thing. I think sometimes my collage can look like that, okay, unless I'm painting over it or kind of stenciling or doing something on top of it. One of the things I've found is that actually if I used you know, old pages of books that have got torn, if I use text paper, I tend to get better. Hi Jean. Oh man, I keep getting your name wrong now. Yes, we are doing another collaborative thing. I didn't realise the funeral was today, otherwise I'd have altered the time. So we are about 15 minutes to go, and I've got my central circles here on these two to pop in, and I've got purple and blue on each of them, so I'm going to do a kind of purple and blue combo, I think, on these. So I'm going to get some of the purple, so I'm prepared, and some of the blue. And then I'm going to just add some purple here, and then I'm going to try adding blue on the other half and see what happens. It's phthalo turquoise rather than blue, I suppose. Maybe a bit more of the purple. That. And then this one, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. So kind of half and half. This one here, I think I'm going to do this half kind of blue. And then this half purple. I'll pop my head up in a minute and read the comments, but just trying to get my basic circles done if I can, and then show you some of the things that we might do inside them. A bit of blue there, a bit of purple, and a little bit of, makes a really nice bluey purple, those two together. And then I'm going to do a similar thing over here with just some bluey purple kind of mixes. Watson's glitter clattering around. Hudson, what are you doing? I don't think I approve of that noise. And I'm just going to pop in some of these half colours, and just go back in some of the blue. And they don't have to be perfect or exactly the paint mix. Obviously I'm mixing little bits, I'm not washing my brush out between them. And that's okay. So I'm going to just put some of the purple in there, a little bit of the blue. And I've got my main Jean. I did a template and I showed everyone how to transfer the template, which is what I'm doing, on using graphite paper. And then if you don't want to use the template, I'd suggest taking an 8-inch square so that you can split it into 4 quarters. So 4 inches and a line halfway, 4 inches and a line halfway. So it's easier if the squares are like a multiple of 4, so either a 4 by 4 inch square, but you'll have quite small spaces, an 8 by 8 inch, 12 by 12 inch, as Nancy said. Just because having the 4 spaces, then you can work in those and do whatever you like into them, but it will fit with the 4 squares on here. And then the other thing I said, if you're doing it on a plain one like this, don't put any circles that go half on and half off along the very edges of the paper, because I'll get it in Photoshop and think I should be able to match it up to these. The template's been done so it will match up exactly, and I could spend a long time trying to match it up and not being very successful. So I hope that answers that one. Now then, this needs to have a really good dry. So I can either dry it with a heat gun, or I can go to plain on my other one. Has anybody got a preference? Anybody want me to particularly do this one, or am I okay to go and play on the one that I did earlier that I showed you guys, which is this one for our last 7 or 8 minutes, just because I'll take up time with heat gunning then rather than arting together. So I'll give it a second. I'm just going to pop my brushes in the tub. So I'm not going to paint anymore. I could, because I'm thinking that these could be quite fun to go in and paint. Yeah, I did the template so we could match it up, because it would look cool to have different people's totally different things matching their circles going on and off. But I also did that so that you can kind of play around with your own. We were talking about doing all kinds of collage and jelly printing and all that kind of stuff into one of these would be really, really good fun. But trying to get those 4 squares so that everybody's is a square split into quarters, basically. I think that is it. All right, Leanne, I will give you a minute to catch up. While you're catching up, I'll have a little ponder about what I'm going to do next on this one, because I've actually found that my pens are working way better if I leave it to dry for quite a while than using a heat gun, if I can have the patience. And as I'm thinking, I might actually paint more glazes and marks onto these, depending on how dark they are. So that one's okay, because I know I'm going to do mandalas in there. That one's kind of done for now. These two, I feel like I want to outline these circles, and I'm thinking, hi Charity, hi Jill. I think I might outline something like Posca pen. So you may find that you just get to the painting stage, and that's okay, because we're all going to post up as we're doing things. We'll probably go onto the create along thread from the video, but also a separate post just to say this is where I am with the collaborative artwork. So all through the month, everybody who's joining in with this should absolutely be posting up pictures to show us what they've done, and works in progress would be really awesome. And I will probably get that started tomorrow if nobody else does. So I like the idea of having outlines on here. I also know that this one has like a pencil outline. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do dots around its outline, because I don't want to put a heavy outline there. So on some of them, I'm going to go around with black dots, like that. And on others, I'm going to do a solid black line. If you hold your Posca pen totally vertical, you get the best circles, because the nib is kind of pressed flat, so you'll get a good circle that's fairly circular. If you hold it slightly to one side, like you do with a writing pen, then you get a not so circly circle, I have discovered. So yes, absolutely. I think it's an awesome thing to actually, you know, if you've got something like post-its or anything like that, if you want to, you could collect little marks or ideas. But yeah, it's a good one to kind of leave and come back to a little bit every day. So if you want to do a little bit of kind of doodling, and you can doodle with paint if you want to. I'm toying with, do I turn them into just patterns or flowers, or kind of very stylised flowers anyway. I think I like the idea of at least some hinting at doodle flowers. So these ones that have got the solid lines are getting little fat daisy petals at the moment. These ones that have got the lines in, the dots rather, I'm going to do a kind of wonky line, and then I'm going to do another layer of dots, and then a wonky line, and then another layer of dots, and then a circle. And then I'm going to see if I can make my wonky lines a little bit thicker without covering up the dots. And I quite like that, that's quite fun. So these ones, I really just want to put little black kind of oval shapes in them like this, like you get in the middle of a sunflower, that kind of a thing. I think I might put some white ones in as well, so I'm leaving some gaps at the moment so that I can go back in and play with that a little bit. So I'm going to grab my white Posca pen so that hopefully I'll be able to show you these two finished little quick doodles. So I'm popping white onto those thick and black lines that I did. And then And then all I've got is these little petals. I feel like I want to do something with them. I'm not sure what. So I'm going to go and grab a blue acrylic pen. So remember the blue being really quite vibrant, and scrape the dried inky bit off. That could be quite fun. I'm liking that. So I'm going to make these petals that go around blue like that. And then I'm thinking that I might go back in with some paint and just carefully glaze some little botanicals or some little leaves just into here as a pattern. I feel like I want to do that in paint rather than in pen. I'll show you what I mean really quickly before it's time for us to halt. I'm really liking how that blue's worked there. So I've got my Payne's Grey that I really wanted and then didn't actually get to using. And grab a slightly finer brush, and I'm going to use the Payne's Grey fairly watery, and I'm just going to pop in like a little line to kind of a pointy leafy thing, and then do another pointy leafy thing, another pointy leafy thing, another pointy leafy thing, pull down the stem again, and I'm just going to repeat that in some other places, coming up. You can get the idea of how that's going to work all over. But I'm probably not going to do that everywhere until I've put the rest of the details on, because I'll get an idea of where I want things to be filled and where my spaces look most noticeable. So you can see where I'm going with that one. I know it's a little bit far away, so I'm going to try and just hold it up so you can have a little bit of a look a little bit closer. I've got a little bit of a delay, so I have to wait until I can see it and get it in the right spot for you guys so you can see. I think I've moved it a little bit better, even a little bit more. So I think you've got an idea of what that one kind of looks like. I'm trying to tilt it towards the light so that you can see the colours as well, and that's kind of where I'd start going with that one. So you can see they're all going to be quite different. Mini mandalas, I've already played around with concentric circles. I've got kind of a flowery botanical thing going on here. This one I'm feeling like it's going to be pencil lines, maybe some smudging, and then playing around with some white dots. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Nancy. So that's just a few little ideas of what you can do. And like I said, if collage is your thing, or jelly printing, or acrylics, absolutely go for your life. If you've got some painted watercolour backgrounds, yonks and yonks ago we did some things where we used cling film and salt and alcohol and wax and all kinds of things to make different backgrounds. You could grab one of those and you could split it into 4 and then glaze circles on the top, or cut out circles and kind of glue or matte medium those on the top. You could go to town with adding paint pens, or you know, whatever you like. Eve's already said, could you do an abstract kind of textile square? And I've said that would be fantastic. But imagine if you kind of took Eve's idea of sewing and combined it with a square that you'd already say got a jelly printed background on, or a watercolour background, and you stitched pieces of paper or pieces of fabric on there. I don't know. There could be all kinds of ideas that you could take for this. The basic kind of rules, I suppose, are that it's a square that's split into quarters, that it includes circles somewhere, and that if you aren't using the template, your circles don't go off the edge, you don't have any part circles. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed painting along with you. So thank you so much for joining me. Please, please, please post up your works in progress, your finished pieces, and pop them up in the group. Post them up on your Facebook pages or over on Instagram or wherever you want to share them, and just link back, you know, link back to the group if you can. that's a really nice link back, because people can then come and find the actual video that you're talking about, or link back to me and tag me in as @RayCreates, because you know I love to see it. I do little crazy happy dances, and we want to spread the kind of the fun and the enjoyment of kind of having a play with mindful watercolours. And I do think doing something collaborative like this, when we're all having to still distance to an extent, at least physically, from each other, can feel really quite awesome. So thank you all for joining me, and thank you all for saying thank you. I won't go through all of your names, but thank you, and have heaps of fun. I will try and get this edited and up as quickly as I can, for those who are looking for the replay. Take care, and I'll see you all really, really soon.